Welcome, friends. Karma. Karma is generally thought to be some sort of tit for tat or bringing things back into balance that were imbalanced. Um, and I can see that's how our brains, like to logically look at karma and kind of make it out. But, as I feel more and more, this that we are, and there's just less and less Lisa identity here. I see this single, perfect, harmonious unfolding. There's just not a commentator here to try to manipulate it into something different, whether in my head, as what I think would have been the best, or in reality, fighting with what is. And so this idea that so and so made a mistake and needs to now get something in recompense, or that somebody needs a lesson, it just doesn't resonate. It just seems so so reaching and trying to arrive somewhere, and there's just nowhere to arrive. There's this that we are is what we are is what we are. There is nowhere to arrive. There's no sweeter, glorier, nothing. What we are just keeps flourishing and flourishing and flourishing. Now, obviously, as there's just this falling in love with that, there's a letting go of the things that did want to argue. And it's not because they didn't belong. That argument belonged as long as it was there. It was interesting. It was perfect. It gelled with the perfect movements that needed to happen. But the argument, just because it belongs there, doesn't mean that the argument has any truth to it. Is a necessary experience. Every argument with reality, somebody deserves a recompense, or whatever karma rules there are. And he's trying to structure everything into some logical form. All of that, that's the how people usually use karma. Like, oh yes, well, that's gonna fix it. They're gonna get their karma. I'm going to get the better karma now, and whatever. I'm cleaning up my karma, whatever that is. All those explanations, they're just like little ways to get our minds to relax. And I'm not saying they don't even make sense, because lots of times they do make sense. When you see how things end up unfolding, yeah, all these things we do for our mind about how karma does this or that and brings this or that into balance, yeah, to our mind, it often ends up making sense. But the more and more that we're just not even trying to use our mind to understand reality, the more we're just intimately this unfolding, all is the perfect karma. All that is happening is this. It's beautiful because it is what we are. It's not beautiful because it meets any particular criteria. Its essence is this amazing, infinite radiance, aliveness. That essence permeates all happenings, all unfoldings, all being, all movement, because it is the movement. And falling in love with that, there's just no need to explain, no need to judge good and bad karma. It's all the inevitable. It it couldn't flow any other way. What is couldn't be anything else. So the karma is the unfolding of this beauty, this radiance, this, and it only feels like radiance and beauty when there's no identity trying to reevaluate it, because the identity doesn't like things. That's what creates an identity. It's actually the other way around. The not liking things creates the identity. But this natural unfolding that just keeps unfolding, that's itself complete, not missing anything in any moment. This is not reaching for anything. So what is karma? Karma is what is. It's the natural harmony of what is. The nature of what we are expressing itself everywhere. That's the karma. It's the beauty. It's the inevitable lightness. It's the inevitable, inescapable immensity of aliveness. It's karma is the unfolding, and it couldn't be any better. It couldn't be any better. The unfolding is imbued, is the outpouring of this that we are. It couldn't be any better. And the karma is exactly what is. So, in our lives, there's that individuating set of ideas that has to come up with some way it could have been better. I mean, the moment that you fully let everything be as it is and sufficient and radiant and right, the individuating stops. It's just a complete merging that happens. So the karma is what we are, and the karma is the beauty, is the unfolding, is the river. And it's so easy. We have our habits that cause the individuation, our habits of one particular thing that, yeah, but some people will do it about something out in the world, but the environment, or but what happened to me as a child, or but the poor person, the sick person, the suffering person, but the abused animals, there's, and we tend to reserve a little corner of our butts. Okay, yeah, I guess I can let go and let go, but as long as we have a little corner where we can say, yeah, but that little area, that little area, it's still arriving. Then we individuate, and the individuation belongs. It's exactly what is part of this. It is the desired experience. There's nothing wrong with the individuating. And as we fall in love with this that we are, somehow the individuating loses our interest. It's just too heavy. It's just too painful. It's just too indignant. It's just too self-righteous. It's just, we just start to notice how much work it is even to reserve that little corner of our butts. And there's a what if? What if even that were part of this whole exactly as it is? That doesn't mean that it's not going to be changing. There used to be, I think, I don't really know what happened in the past, but I think there was a lot more slavery. I think there's a lot less slavery. That seems to be what this that we are did in this recent movement. So it doesn't mean that it's frozen in any way. It doesn't mean that there isn't going to be some dynamic continuation, but what is this experience now of extinction of a species, or this experience now of whatever is suffering is a desired part of the whole. And it was impossible for me to calm my mind about suffering out there, because I really don't know what their experience is. All I can do is awfulize. I can just imagine the pain. I can't even imagine what's the good coming out of it, or what's the potential way it directs them towards knowing themselves more, the truth of themselves more. It's very hard, but I did it with every painful experience I've had, until it just became this natural thing that, oh yeah, that painful experience, of course, it's benefiting me. And once it just became fluid, this, oh yeah, that doesn't mean there won't be a new one for me to learn a new fluidity in. But once it became this fluidity of, oh yeah, okay, this looked like what I wasn't expecting, and yet look at the benefits that are coming with it. And maybe I was not valuing those benefits before. I thought these other benefits were more important. But then I'm realizing, well, because this that we are values these benefits, they must be more important than I gave them credit for. So there's this openness to experience, openness that just kept being cultivated and keeps being cultivated. And because I can now find each what looked like was a disappointment turns out to be a big benevolence, I just know that that's true for every suffering out there. I can come up with even ideas now of what could be the possible goodness, but that doesn't seem to be so necessary at this point. But I want to know what I am more than anything else. So if, it's so wonderful, this whole thing about realizing that intelligence of a particular sort, it's just one small category of intelligence that doesn't function for my husband, to realize, oh wow, that's been such a gift that, early on I took over those tasks. That just became, okay, apparently I'm the one who's supposed to take care of those things. And then it just became, maybe it's not that important. And maybe that it's not that important, like the level of disorganization that started filling into my life as I realized it wasn't so important. I was like, I don't need so much organization. Really, I don't need so much organization. It's amazing how you can just kind of, I don't know, it's going by the seat of your pants, have, apparent chaos. I'm so relieved. What a gift. It is the universe really just filling out in this experience how wonderful it is to let go. Just let go. It's amazing. What a gift. It looked like a burden before, now it looks like an absolute gift. So that's what just keeps happening. As I prioritize, I want to know what I am. I want to know this that we are. I want to know this vast aliveness, this immense radiance. I want to know that. Then it just becomes worth it to let go of the preferences and taste and see, well, how does this one work out? Just keep being more curious. I love watching a dog. You can take them for a walk and they think they're following the smell in one direction, and they may be really interested in that, and it may take a couple pulls, but then you bring them somewhere else and oh my gosh, there's something wonderful to smell there, and off they are. Oh my gosh, so excited. And then you can end up having them turn again, and there it goes again. Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. That is the innate capacity that is here when there's not the need for it to have any appearance of any sort. Just no appearance. I said something at work, and the way I said it sounded stupid, and and the doctor, he just seemed to kind of go along. He made a correction to me and then just continued on. And apparently that's exactly what it's supposed to be. Doesn't matter. Over and over, I just can't, I can go through all different categories. It just doesn't matter. There's what is, and the rest just is an imagined ideal that would be so much less than what is. That's it. So the unfolding karma is so perfect, so integrated, interwoven into a harmonious, perfect whole. And all there is this curiosity for this experience that is. And what will it show about what I am? And if there's frustration, oh, interesting. There's the individuation getting frustrated. Oh, let's be curious. Individuation happening here, frustration happening here. How does it actually feel? Very heavy. How does it actually feel? Very confused. How does it actually feel? Very self-righteous and yet powerless because it can't fix it. Isn't that interesting? The individuation repeatedly feels powerless. Over and over, powerless, 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 powerless. And then the what is, it turns out it somehow goes forward and goes forward and goes forward. It may be in total unexpected territory, may feel a lot of pressure, may feel a lot of emptiness, but it goes forward. Now that is potent. That is strength. It just kind of goes forward. Amazing. When it didn't think it could, it's still here. Didn't think I could survive that. And then there's beingness still here. The potency, the unharmability that this beingness has is amazing. So that know-it-all that wants to organize good and bad karma is so powerless, and the actuality is so potent. And so there's just a falling in love with the potency and a just kind of getting tired of that powerless commentator. It's just kind of worn out. So here, that's been my journey of where karma has come to fit. What is, and the karma is the perfect unfolding. It is all that there is. And yes, our minds will often look at it from a distance and be able to see the patterns and say, oh, that so makes sense now. Great. But it isn't a fixing from this level of noticing the single that we are. There's never a fixing. There's just a harmony. When there's no individuating commentator, there's just a harmony.